Nigeria's biggest cancer awareness project, the Medicaid Walk Away Cancer Fest, held last Saturday. As usual, it was full of energy, led by the irrepressible Dr Zainab Shinkafi-Bagudu, First Lady Kebbi State and founder of Medicaid Cancer Foundation. Participants were enthusiastic as ever. The energy was, could almost be felt. Streets were filled with people, of all sorts, committing, moving, enjoying this moment and everything that came along with the annual walk. Dopamine was present. That's what Jordan Peterson says happens in such exercise, as we'll find out in the clip that you're going to hear shortly. Take a listen.
You exist as a separate entity and I exist as a separate entity, but we can be joined together in a shared vision. And one of the, just for those of you who are watching and listening to understand is, if this is true and we establish a shared, two people establish a shared narrative, and that shared narrative simplifies the world, and that simplification constrains entropy, then that shared narrative constrains terror. And so you might say, well, why is it possible to be calm in the presence of someone else given their infinite complexity and also their almost infinite capacity for mayhem? And the answer, is insofar as the two of you establish and inhabit a shared narrative, then all that entropic complexity is constrained by the desire, let's say, to keep the shared narrative intact. And then you might also point out that if you and I, our shared narrative might be, it would be worthwhile to have an interesting conversation because both of us might learn something and we might have the opportunity to bring a bunch of other people along for the ride, which seems like a good additional bonus. And so we both come to this conversation with that story in mind, and then we can play the game as a consequence. And even though we don't know each other, because we assume goodwill on each other's part, not only are we not anxious in each other's presence, apart from whatever additional relevant features might have to do with being on a podcast, but we can also take some pleasure in joint movement towards the shared goal, because the dopamine system to me seems to indicate progress towards to the instantiation of a vision. It's something like that. And then if you're acting in a manner that makes the vision appear to me making itself manifest, then that's rewarding. And that reward has an existential element, a phenomenological element. You can feel it feels good. But then the dopamine, what it does neurochemically seems to be to track the neural systems that were activated just prior to the manifestation of the success and make them grow. And so once you establish a shared narrative, if you negotiate it successfully, you also increase the probability that the neural architecture manifesting that vision, making that vision manifest in skill and apprehension, is more likely to dominate in the future.